So today I'm going to be talking about 8 bookworm tips that I have for you guys. So this is for everyone who wants to read more, maybe get some tips on how to get inspired to read more, and kind of how I worked through, not being a very quick reader. I am not very fast when I read. Like, I'm a below average, I think. This video is going to be about how you can kind of get through that and still read quite a lot of books if you like, or if you're in a reading slump, how to kind of get out of it. So this is just going to be a mixed match of everything to get everyone to be more inspired to read books. So my first tip is that you kind of have something to accomplish for, like something to strive for. One thing that I do is my stickers. And if you guys haven't noticed that behind here you can see most of my books, unlike these shelves right here, actually have a red heart or a silver heart on them. The red and silver heart doesn't really mean anything. What it means is that I've read the book. So here I have all the books that I've read. So let's just take a book. As you guys can see, I have a little red heart there, and if you guys don't want to put like a red heart on your book because, I don't know, you want to sell it, you think it ruins the cover, that's fine. Another thing that you could do that I came up with is that you can put kind of like a sticker of a smiley face sticker. You can find like smiley face stickers everywhere, and if you like the book, then you can put a smiley face sticker or a sour sticker or angry sticker or whatever the book made you feel. So you can pick out a book from your bookshelf, and then you can just look at what you actually felt about that book on the inside of the cover. This is the way I do it, and I love this way because I remember if I like the books or not. And it just makes me feel like accomplished when I look at my bookshelves and there's just loads of like hearts on them. My second tip is to set a date for when you want to finish a book. Say, this is a real life example that I'm doing right now. So I'm going to finish this book in 5 days. In that case, I take the number of pages in the book, I divide it by 5. For this book, every 78 pages, I fold the corner down so that when I look at this book, I know exactly how many pages I need to read each day to be able to finish it in 5 days. And when I know that I have to read 78 pages, I might have to sit down for 1.5 hours each day and read, or 2 hours, or however long it takes you, and then you know exactly how much time you need to spend, which means that you always finish your books on time if you spend like that amount of time, and it makes it so much easier to actually finish the books that you start. This I always do every time I read a book. I set a date for myself. If I don't finish it that date, if I don't have time, then that's fine, like whatever. Then if it's not a school project, then it doesn't matter. This book that I'm also reading currently, there's a lot of marks on them. It's because I'm gonna finish it in 2 weeks, and it's a school book, so I'm only doing it for 5 days this week, and I don't read it on weekends. Another way you can do if you're reading short stories like I'm doing on this one right now, I'm reading 2 short stories every day. For example, if I want to finish this on a week, and so you can divide it by chapters if you think that's easier, and any other way, parts, or whatever your book is constructed of. My third tip is to keep a reading journal, and maybe you guys have seen the small red journals. You can buy a reading journal. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is going on Goodreads and making an account. Goodreads makes it so that you can click if you've read the book, if you're currently reading the book, or if you want to read a book and you find it, so you have a list and you can just collect everything online, and you can also browse for books. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. You can also set a goal for yourself. So this year I'm going to be reading 100 books, and then it basically just counts how much you are ahead or behind, and it's so helpful. It also counts the pages that you read. And I really like Goodreads. It is one way of tracking. Another way of tracking is to use pages. I use my bullet journal for this, but obviously you can just have, collections separately in a notebook if you want to do it in a physical way. Doing it like by hand obviously takes much more time. Here I have a page for all the books that I want to read, whether I have them or not, and then I basically have a system for putting a dot over it when I have read that book. Here's another collection that I have. This one is basically the same collection, but it is books to buy, so it's just books that I don't have. And then you could obviously have my favorite books or any different collections that you want to have, my favorite authors. Here I have also a way of tracking. This one you can write when you finished it, what book you read, what author, and what the rating you gave it to like keep track of what books you read. This is also a way of kind of tracking your goal and just filling in as you go. Here I also have a page that is books and authors to look out for. These are just books that I've heard are good or authors I've heard that are actually good. So if I find them in the bookstore, I know that I've written it down here so I don't forget. My fourth tip is to watch BookTube. And BookTube is basically just a community on YouTube where people share books, you know, top 10 favorite of this. You know, they list their TBR, they do loads of these stuff, and if you look there, or like you look at a lot of videos, often you get very inspired, or at least I do, to buy books, read books, and you get motivated to just sit down and read all the time. So if you are not really feeling up to, you know, reading at the moment, just go on BookTube and look at reviews or anything that gets you motivated. Just go looking for stuff, because if you're in a reading slump or like you don't really feel inspired, this is a great way of going about it. Also, talk about books with your friends, your family, and tell them about your books. This also kind of brings the book to life, and when you talk about a book, and that's also why I do reviews, is that it kind of grabbing your mind around like the concept. Sometimes when you read a book and you don't talk about it, you either forget it or, you know, it's not really like a concrete book. It's just kind of ideas and words in your mind. So it really helps me at least to do something like that. My tip number 5 is to have a good reading environment. This can be going out to a special cafe and just reading and setting off that time to only read. It can be going to the forest and reading. It can be having a favorite comfy chair and just sitting and reading. I highly recommend not reading so much in bed. Like if you read at night, like it's good to read in bed because you fall asleep quicker, but also having your bed with a place where you just sleep is way better for your sleeping. So if you want to read, it's better to have like a chair where you read or a specific place where you read, and it's also so comfy, and just kind of make it a time for you and your book. My tip number 6 is to wander in bookstores. Just kind of walk around, look at books, read the title, you don't need to buy anything, and this is also if you're kind of in a reading slump or you don't really know what to read. Also, if you find a book that you've never heard of, just buy it, because it's so fun just going to a bookstore, buying a book that you've never heard of, never heard of the author, and just trying it out. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's awful, sometimes it's completely unexpected and different, and that is the good things about life. My tip number 7 is to collect bookmarks. So bookmarks are fun. You don't necessarily need to collect them, but when you change book, it's really fun to change the bookmark according to what type of book it is. So like if it's an action book, like I might have a bookmark with like a gun on it, or like a mysterious dark one, like that kind of thing. And if it's like a fairy tale, then I might have a unicorn bookmark, or whatever, like kind of categorize the bookmark to the book, because then it becomes really fun picking out bookmarks all of a sudden. My tip number 8 is kind of the same as tip number 4, and that is read loads of reviews both after and before you read a book. If you have a book that's been in your bookshelf forever and you just don't feel like reading it, read a review so that you get inspired to do it. Also, when you finish reading a book, I recommend that you read, for example, spark notes or analyzations of the book, because this also makes you get more in touch of the book and kind of give a deeper understanding of it, and it kind of just elevates your experience with that particular book, especially if it's a book that is a classic. Then I encourage you guys to just do it. Even if it's not for school, do the same things you would if it were for school, because it makes it so much more fun reading it. Honestly. Also, take notes while you're reading. For me, if you take notes while you read, you can use like these little clips to mark off also how much you have to read, and then use these notes when you find something interesting, a quote you like, anything. Or you can use these right here. You can also write the number of day that you should be on that page. So just try to make it into like a project and something you can put your soul into. And this is what I do. I think I do all of these stuff regularly, because otherwise I'm not a fast reader, so I probably lose motivation. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys got inspired to read a little bit or try some of these tricks. I highly recommend doing these. These are absolutely elevating my experience of reading, and also how I tell about reading and how I get more inspired right about reading. So I hope you guys all have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!